Connecting with some sound right now.
I'm just going to bring everyone up to the stage right now. We have an incredible space coming up. We will start shortly.
Welcome all my aliens, apes, and zombies. Back at it again. Friendly Friday. Some tunes on, get some people up here. Listeners, we got a great one for us. All right, all my aliens, apes, and zombies. Cool Blue, how you doing?
We have all of our speakers to the stage, so we can go ahead and get started. Also, Cryptonovo, you're back. We missed you.
Woo! I was gone. I was just in a different area in LA, which was awesome. It kind of brings us to what we're going to talk to today is about the conventions in this space. And, you know, sometimes it's more than conventions. It's kind of the IRL of these conventions, meeting the people in real life that you may have followed, clicked on, maybe had social interactions with over a computer, but able to get in and dive in and kind of see what's really happening in the space. You know, with some of my favorite friends that I haven't seen ever, and some new people that I've met there. And that's what it's about. It's the connection and networking that we're doing in this space. And I loved last week's spaces that you hosted with other people within Vayner NFT. Very witty. I loved how we doxed almost everyone out there, including D-Rob, who's listening right now. But let's talk a little bit about our guests that we have on here, because we have another full panel, but that's great because, you know, we're learning, and that's what I love doing. And that's what these conferences were about, is about learning.
Yes, let's dive into it because we have some incredible people up here. So let's do some intros, bring everyone up. Michelle, I would love to hear from you. First of all, how are you doing? You went on, she just popped down to a listener. So maybe I'm going to bring her back up. Twitter Spaces, gotta love it. Okay, I think she got wrecked. Very funny start. Anyways, let's move on to the next. We have Nick Anderson here. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you, and how do you feel about IRL events?
Hi, just first question. Can you hear me all right? I'm actually at an IRL. I just want to make sure I sound okay right at the moment.
Love it. You sound good when you talk, and it sounds very loud when you're not talking. But when you're talking, you're coming through clear.
I will make sure to fill it if I can. But yeah, no, I think, I mean, I'm on the ground at the moment at NFT Week Miami. I will also be at Bitcoin Miami. And yeah, I mean, IRL events, it's something that is really interesting with the NFT space, because in particular, you know, with the rise of the NFT space, you saw it really aligned with COVID and people being home. And so I think there's a very unique crossroad at the moment of starting to open back up, more opportunities happening, and the synchronicity of the space being so small, it's created disproportionate opportunities for many in the space. And I'm very excited to speak more about it.
I think it's hilarious right now, Nick. You're bringing up a very good example of how fast the space is moving, where you're actually in Miami, but also on Spaces. So you're able to do the IRL event and then also, you know, virtually tune in and kind of give almost the live update here on Spaces. You know, so how have you seen like the numbers evolve throughout the years? I mean, I've seen a growth in the conferences I've been going to. How's the foot traffic looking at right now?
It's pretty good. I think, you know, especially given it being the first year, for NFT week in Miami. I think, it's definitely great. There's a few thousand people here at the moment. But it's definitely impressive. I can speak to, particularly within my experiences with NFT NYC, the scale, the size and scale. I mean, it's been insane. The year prior to me joining, which was last year, I worked on 2021. In 2020, funny enough, just before COVID hit in February, they were able to slip in an event, and sure enough, they only had maybe like a couple of hundred, maybe 300-ish people max. The next year, they had 5,000 with over 600 speakers in 3 days. So, the scale has been absolutely massive over the course of the last year or so, and it's only going to keep growing. It's only going to keep expanding. And it's been a fantastic experience to see the space grow so quickly and exponentially.
It is absolutely growing so fast, and I love to see it. It's very exciting seeing more and more people jumping into the space, but I think at the same time, it's also important, or it makes more intimate events special as well. So on the other side of it, we have Dowdle with us, who planned a more intimate event over here by our office in Hudson Yards. So will you please dox yourself for a moment and introduce yourself and tell us about how that incredible event came to fruition and who was there?
Sure, Leslie. Hi, everybody. I'm Sina, and I work for Gary, and I work for 137 for the past 5 years now. The event that Leslie is talking about is the Beeple event that we hosted at the beginning of NFT NYC. It was, compared to NFT NYC, much smaller. It was only 250, 300 people that was only guest listed. That Novo helped us a lot to get the right people in there. And to be honest, I think the event was different than what I've seen compared to like Art Basel or NFT NYC in general, because we were there to see the most famous artist, aka Beeple, of the NFT generation and understand his story. We also had a screening of the documentary that we filmed of him selling the $69 million piece. So the beginning was just like talking, meeting people, like Novo said, just meeting people that you've never met. You kind of like hear their name while they're talking behind you. You're like, oh shit, you're that ape, or oh shit, you're that. It's kind of fun to like decipher who's who. So that's one part that I really enjoy. And the other part is understanding that people still connect through being next to each other. So Beeple event, I saw people crying because the way that we shot and filmed the documentary, and if you haven't seen it,
I was one of those people. I literally cried.
So it's fun to see like people's reactions and understand that if you're crying alone at home to certain things, it could be about a video. It could also be about making money, losing money, or like anything in real life. It just reminded me of that. Oh, like everybody is going through the same thing. So it was more of like you said, Leslie. It's more of an intimate event where everybody who joined was on the guest list. But I also think that it made it more beneficial for people who could say hi to each other and become friends. Like I met Novo a while ago, but I also met a friend there who never met Drift, Isaac Wright, and now they're friends. So I think the intimate settings provide a circumstance where people can connect more. And I got to jump in 5 minutes. So if there's anything, Novo, Leslie, you want me to answer, I can happily answer.
Yeah, you're talking about all the love of setting it up. Talk about maybe one of the things that calloused you, something that was maybe more difficult, a challenge that you had. I mean, that was a pretty large event with historical value behind it, and it was all recorded not only through the documentary, but people documenting what was happening there in real life. So, what were some of the challenges that occurred setting up a pretty prestigious event like this?
I mean, the biggest one was security. I think knowing that Beeple was going to be there, Gary was going to be there. There were 3 billionaires that I can't disclose who they were. So like, I think the major issue was security and making sure that people were not jumping the gates or making sure that Gary had space to talk to everybody, even though I think people are very understanding. Sometimes it was the first event after COVID that I've produced with my team, and people were excited to see her, and you just have to remind someone that you're like, oh, this is a person too. You can't just like jump in front and cut people off. They want to talk to Gary too. I think security was a big issue that we hurdled with a lot during the event prior to the event. And the other one was, it was open space. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was warm, which we definitely failed because the wind was so strong that we couldn't put out like heaters out. So there are like nuances that I definitely would have changed in terms of how we hosted it. But overall, I think the audio, the screen, the food, the catering did really well. But overall, in terms of security and keeping people warm, we definitely did a decent job. Could have been better.
You guys did a wonderful job with that because, you know, I did feel how safe everyone was there. You did accommodate a lot of people, especially people that couldn't get behind the quote unquote velvet rope, but still showed up to be part of the experience. And, you know, the warmth that we had there was the warmth of love. I wasn't cold at all. We were huddled together like penguins because we were watching that video. And the reason we were crying because we all had a piece of it in our own journey. You know, we all see the hard work and how it pays off and how it helps others. And, you know, one of the things that you guys brought across is it was about us, not about one single person. So that Beeple event was an event, not because of one person, but because of the events that led up to, you know, the history that we're paving right now in these history books. I know you got to bounce. I know you got a meeting here in a minute or two, but I appreciate the time and, you know, you reaching out to me and us working together for getting the right people in there. Because, you know, though that there were some people that might have an extra zeros after their names and their bank accounts, there's still straight up fans that just came off the street that were able to enjoy it and rub elbows. And you made it a very safe event with a lot of people, with a lot of things going on in the space at that time and how it's evolved. So thank you for spearheading that. That was sweet stuff.
Thank you, Noah. Appreciate you all. If you need help hosting events, we're happy to help. Just hit me up. I'll do my best. Thank you, everybody.
Peace.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, that was a really special event because of the screening. We were able to see a lot of the story of what went into making Beeple, and seeing the part where I cried was really seeing him with his family whenever that and his reaction whenever his auction sold for $69 million. I mean, his NFT auction. It was unbelievable. It's beautiful seeing people's dreams come true in this space, and learning more about who these people are, who these avatars are. So Michelle, you're back. Thank you so much for being back. I'd love to hear from you because you create even more intimate events where you really get to know the people that you're invited with. And what you did with LA, New York, kind of like, it seemed like a book tour, but an NFT tour, helping people set up wallets and onboarding new people in crypto, and then having these more intimate events so that we can connect with one another in the space and see our small community get a little larger. So thank you for being here. Will you please introduce yourself and let us know what inspired you to do in-person intimate events in such a digital space?
Firstly, Leslie, it is a dream to hear your voice. I miss you. I miss being in the US. I am coming to you guys actually from the future because it's already Saturday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia.
Oh my God!
For you, I will wake up anytime. It's so great to meet you, Rick. Nick, Crypto Novo, hi. I'm Michelle Jreeves, everyone. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Mavion. We just launched our NFT in March. We are a fashion utility NFT. And as Leslie just described, we kind of did take a bit of a book tour approach on this. And I think one of the main reasons for that was about how small the NFT audience is right now. You know, only 360,000 in the world own NFTs, and that's pretty extraordinary how small that number is. But even smaller when you think that less than 10% of those are women. So when we think about 30,000 women own NFTs, we know we have a heavy lift ahead of us to bring in more women into Web3. And so for us, the idea was to meet them where they are. You know, they're reading about NFTs, they're seeing blockchain and crypto in their newsfeed, but they're not going to dive into Discord as their first step. So for them, it's about going where they are physically and creating a series of events. And so we had 21 days back-to-back events of LA and New York, and these events were anything from a one-on-one workshop, holding hands, being somebody's NFT buddy as they opened a wallet, to 200-person events with guest speakers like Leslie actually, or Rebecca Minkoff, or other incredible NFT founders like Maliha from Women Rise, and just to provide this full 360 experience that allowed them to feel comfortable in a space that actually is quite foreign. It's not hard, but it's not intuitive. And so these events were really structured to read the room every time. It was kind of like a clubhouse reset of 2020 every time we started an event. So we would ask people, who has a wallet, who's purchased ETH or any cryptocurrency before, who's minted an NFT, and just really assess on the fly where the level of the room was at, and then adjust immediately. Okay, what's our programming? How are we coming into educating and speaking about the topic today? And that really, I think, empowered particularly women to not only take their first step, but to then take the next 100 steps really quickly afterwards. And I'd say one of the biggest learnings we took away from that was for every woman who we helped open a wallet, she would help 3 of her friends or sister-in-laws open their wallet too. So I think that if we keep doing this kind of hand-holding, we're going to see an increase quite rapidly of how many more women we can bring into the space. And there definitely were men too, but obviously we're a fashion NFT and we are focused more on a female audience. So that's where we definitely saw most of our learnings come from.
I've had my handheld when I first started in this game, and that was the brilliance of Discord and the brilliance of being able to go in there and ask questions. For me at the time, anonymous, like, hey, what the heck is a MetaMask wallet? And that's how it did start for me before I did get my first CryptoPunk. And I was able to have some founders down there and the Claire Silvers of the world saying, hey, don't feel bad to ask me a question. I'm here to help you. So when you get into, you have to be flexible for when you're entering in an area when you're onboarding people. Very similar to what we're doing here at Vayner NFT, where, different brands come to us and they're at different points in their NFT process. Maybe break down like the 2 tidbits that you might ask someone to see where they maybe have started in the space or where they need to go. So like, how would you kind of gauge where someone is with their NFT and crypto IQ, for lack of a better term?
Great question. Really simply just scale of 1 to 10. How comfortable are you talking to someone else about NFTs or crypto? 1 being you're really not confident, 10 you're like ready to teach someone, and that just kind of gave us a really good benchmark to start from.
I love that, where you have like the 10 where you're ready to teach someone. In my mind, like I've always gone through 1 through 3. Like 1, you're like just learning, maybe you got an ENS name. 2, you're pretty savvy. 3, you're doing it all. So like, I love that added scale value of where like you can maybe feel comfortable on onboarding others, because that's the important aspect. It is, feeling comfortable not only with yourself, but able to have enough repetition so you're able to, teach others, so they can go off on their journey of learning more about this space and information. So, Tassel, hats off to you, what you're doing in the space. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I will say what was really cool is there were definitely some very knowledgeable people who would come to the events, and so we would utilize them, because these are smaller events. We could really be like, great, we'd love to pair you up, and who wants to be someone's NFT buddy? Because it does, like, we all need an NFT buddy. We just reference those, scam, fishy emails and strange links that we see. Like, you always want that cross-reference no matter how long you've been in the space for. And so I think that these people, when they were there, being recognized they were knowledgeable, actually loved the idea that they could be useful and contribute to a space that they too feel so passionate about.
All right, I'm going to bridge off that. And I'm going to bridge into, sorry if I'm going to steal the mic for a minute or two. I was a teacher. I was a physical education teacher. And what I would do is I would always match up the better skilled people in my classes with the ones that weren't so skilled. And people, well, why would you do that? Well, if you can maybe throw and catch really, really good and someone can't, well, you want to be able to throw the ball so the person who can't catch can become a better catcher. And then when the person throws it back to you, maybe they can't throw as well, but you can catch. Well, now you need to move your body to catch that ball. So then you're getting better. So linking up, it's almost like the thing is like, you're only going to be as good as your weakest link. So if you get all those links linked in properly, you're going to be stronger. And then in that process, you're learning how to refine those tools if you're maybe more experienced. And if you're not experienced, you almost kind of have a pen pal or a buddy or older brother or sister, an older alien, ape, and zombie that you can kind of go to and be like, hey, you've probably been through this process. How do I get to this next point in my journey? So, I mean, that's very intelligent of you. It's something that has been used in the teaching world. And I just love seeing it, being used in the flexibility of what you're trying to accomplish in the space is just onboarding people, all the aliens, apes, and zombies, so then they can see the true value of this technology.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Crypto Novo, and thanks for being my NFT buddy in this space at Vayner NFT. One of my first friends in the space. So as soon as Michelle said that, I thought of that. I was like, that was Novo for me. Okay, I have to introduce Tyler now because last but not least, Tyler has a very special role that a lot of people will be really excited about here. So, Tyler, will you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then I have a question for you and Nick.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for having me, Lizzie. I'm excited to be here. My name is Tyler. I am the platform strategy producer for VFriends, which basically means that I run the VFriends and VCon socials. So we have VCon coming up in about a month and a half, a little bit more than that. And we're really excited for that. And then there's a lot of planning and strategizing that comes with it. But we're kind of gearing towards the home stretch here.
You got to be careful saying VCon in spaces like this. Everyone gets so excited. But really grateful that you're here, and you and Nick both have worked with or for really large scale events like NFT, or help coordinate like NFT NYC and VCon, going to be one of the largest as well. So I really want to know from both of you, or from all of you actually, why do you think these IRL conferences or experiences, even this also counts for experiences, why are they so compelling even to a very digital native audience?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few reasons for that. One, it's been really great to see how the VFriends community has gotten so close and so tight just through being in Discord and knowing people by their Discord names. But I think that can only get you so far and so close in building these really meaningful relationships. And I think IRL events provide so much potential for furthering those connections and further networking, and that I think only these kind of events can provide, with such a diverse group of speakers and attendees. Everywhere you look, there's a new person to meet, a new hand to shake. So I think that really big role.
And some of it comes down to the swag that you get in these events. I have Lastrom listening in the crowd. If you met him at NFTLA, you got a free wearable with it. I mean, it's cool stuff like that you're seeing, instead of just business stars, business cards, or maybe stickers, selfish plug for myself there. You can get different experiences there. I mean, CyberKongs was at NFTLA, where you sit there and, get a free t-shirt out of it, get some free swag out of it. But then with that is just meeting and networking with people. And that was the true point, I guess, of the conversation, the spaces today, is being able to get out there. Because it's essentially, you can go to the events, you can listen to the speakers, but it's what's happening, in the hotel rooms, in the bars, in the social events afterwards, where you're actually meeting people, like in the elevator going down to the same conference. It's like, hey, you're so-and-so. Hey, you're so-and-so. You're looking at their credentials when they logged in. For me, it's easy because I walk around dressed as my CryptoPunk. So I get a lot of people coming towards me. But then at the same token, I know my friends in the space as well from meeting them at either prior in real life events or, just through the NFT they're sporting, because you're seeing it on t-shirts, you're seeing it on hats. And that's the growth I'm seeing in the space. So, I mean, based around growth, I mean, how have you seen this space progress since, NFT NYC a couple months back to this current day?
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I think, it's just been a fascinating process. I mean, I can speak for myself. The massive upside and opportunity in these RL events. I remember coming to, Bitcoin 2021 with, no plan, no job after graduating from college. And that has spiraled into several different opportunities, ranging from working on, several different NFT projects, learning about the space, getting involved with Vayner now as NFT protocol lead for 137, and then getting involved with NFT NYC. It was just a combination of grit and tenacity towards learning and a curiosity that I think that is unique to those that are native in crypto and Web3, and that you notice throughout these events. It's there's just so much opportunity lurking around every single corner, and it's up to everybody in the space to realize that and really just get out from from Twitter and get in person. There's just so much upside that you can't necessarily quantify on a chart or or what have you. It's much more qual than quant. And it's all I can say is that it's a fantastic experience being able to be in these in-person events. It brings nuance and connection that isn't necessarily possible through data and pixels, what have you, through Twitter, Discord, any communication channel, really.
And that's what these speakers are bringing here on the panel today for all the listeners out there is opportunity. They're trying to link opportunity with, it could be Web3. It could be your favorite PFP project. It could be maybe an outlet for a new career path. These are opportunities that happens at conferences. And those conferences, you've probably been to a conference in a Web 2.0 setting. This is what Web 3.0 right now. So you have the opportunity, I don't want to say of a lifetime, but man, you have a pretty prime opportunity. That's why I try to get out to them, not only to get out there and network, but just aggregate that information, see what's out there in the space, see what's next, because that's what people are doing. They're flexing their A game when they're there, and just walking around and meeting like-minded individuals, you spur new ideas from that. Do any of the other speakers want to talk about that opportunity that you are providing by opening up yourself to creating pretty much massive events for, the adoption of more people into the NFT space? Any opportunity? Shell, go ahead.
Oh, I think this is definitely such a huge topic itself to talk about. I think if we look at just what NFTs are as a project, our community is our product. So anytime you bring your community together in a physical space, you're basically giving your product an upgrade. They're connecting in a way on all these new feelings together that creates a whole new layer of common ground for them to go back and connect on later. So this product upgrade moment, I think, is just such an opportunity to really create a journey in the physical space for every attendee as they walk through your doors. What is that journey for the digital funnel, but what is the journey now for them in the physical space? Literally, where should they walk, and who should they talk to, and what should they learn or feel as they make their way through any event of any size? I think that can be that can actually drive so much value to your NFT product. And I think for the team, as you just said, Nick, it's exactly right. This idea of, it's a whole new layer of doxing and finding the best people. They will make themselves known to you in ways that are so creative. I've got like 3 people that I've met who I am trying to figure out roles for because they are just such magical unicorns that need to be on our team. And that would never have come across in, you know, a digital space the way that it did in the room, seeing how they are magnetic to the people, the tasks that are unique to them. You know, I just think that there's tremendous value in the face that we can tap on or tap into on both sides.
Such a great point. And I love everything that we've heard so far. And if you are Cool Blue and Crypto Novo, you are a fan of also dressing up at these events. So not everyone is doxxed yet, but there's also some fun with that, with our avatars. And you'll see people still wearing features or traits of their avatars, which is so exciting. But I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. However, I want to give the audience some takeaways, some quick takeaways. If you're wanting to get into events, plan an event, what would you each recommend something to definitely consider when wanting to plan an event?
I'd say in terms of, you know, there's a few different things here. I think it depends partially on your experience level with events. I came into these experiences with a lot of campus events experience with large scale events through college, but that definitely helped me through this experience. But I'd say really at the end of the day, get involved. If there's an event that you really like and there's an opportunity to volunteer, do it, because there's going to be a disproportionate opportunity to network with the people that are already in the space doing those things and putting on these events. As long as you provide value and work hard, show up early, you know, leave late, do all those things, I think at the end of the day, there's a massive opportunity in that game of providing value for free through volunteering, as well as just, you know, it all goes down in the DMs. You know, it's a combination of the direct messaging, and that's how I got involved with FTNYC. I shot you know, one of the founders a message on Twitter. That's literally how it happened. Yeah, I just said, hey, I really respect what you're doing, and sure enough, that conversation went from, hey, how do you incorporate the community into our event, to, hey, I need a job, and hey, you need help. You know, fast forward, that was 6 weeks before the event, and was the event coordinator for it. On the core team is 6 people putting on NFT NYC. They're the largest NFT events in the world, and that is how it happens. That is the game. It's the relationships. It's being genuine, being present, and providing more value than you're taking.
I love it.
Such a mic drop.
I love it. You just did it. That's the thing. You got to get up and you got to do it. And that's what I try to do, is 2 steps ahead of the game, put those shoes on and just keep on walking forward. You know, seemed like you went from planning the college parties to, you know, planning these huge events just because all you did is direct message someone. I've been doing the same thing. It's work. Proof's in the pudding right here. Zevi G, I love hearing you in the crowd. Dr. Crypto, love seeing you out there. Lastrum, big hugs, big love. Any other shout outs that we got out up here? D-Rob, like always, thanks for everything. Leslie.
Tyler, what's up, guys? Just wanted to get some quick shout outs in there. Thank you so much to everyone who joins every week. We do this every Friendly Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Special thank you to Miss Michelle Reeves, because it is 3 a.m. your time, 3:30 now. Thank you so much for being here. This has been an incredible conversation. I could talk to each of you for hours on this topic.
For in and around Web3, and yeah, we also have a Twitter space we do is Web37 Daily, bringing the people, projects, and who's next in the space, and yeah, just make sure to tune in here as well every Friday.
Special shout out to 1:37 p.m. and V friends. We do love the V fam. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Tyler. If you have any events coming up, please put me on the guest list. I want to be at all of them. Thank you everyone for being here. Crypto Novo, I will give the last words to you because it just melts my heart every Friday whenever you close this space out.
I want to wish everyone a friendly Friday and stay positive and love life. Peace.